Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this cute little macaron, and it really is just two pieces crocheted quickly and sewn together with some stuffing inside. Let's get started! What you will need will be a 2.75mm crochet hook, medium weight yarn in the colors of your choice, fiberfill stuffing, a yarn needle, and scissors. Remember that the free written pattern is on my blog, so you can use it to follow along. To begin, what you're going to do is start with a magic ring, and in round 1 you're going to insert 6 single crochets into the magic ring. So it will look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For round 2, you're going to increase in all of these stitches around. So I'm just going to pull my ring tight here, and in each of these stitches I'm going to increase by putting 2 single crochets on each stitch. So this first one is going to have 2, 1, 2. Second one will have 2, that's 3 and 4. Here's 5 and 6. Seven and 8. 9 and 10. 11, and 12. So round 2, you should end up with a stitch count of 12 stitches, and we'll move on to round 3. For round 3, starting from round 3, I tend to like to use the yarn tail to keep track of where my rounds start. You can use a stitch marker, of course, but I find the yarn tail to just be a quick and easy method. So I just kind of stick it right here, and I'll start my round. So for round 3, you're going to single crochet 1, and then in the next stitch, increase. So I'm putting 2 here. Then 1 single crochet, increase. 1 single crochet, you do that all the way around, by the way, and increase. So I'm putting 2, whenever I increase, it means I put 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So here I am going around. I'm going to pause for just a moment. I happen to run out of yarn here. Cut a loop a little bit too, or I got a smaller chunk, so I have to tie that to continue. Okay. And here you see my yarn tail from the beginning. That shows where the start of the round was. So I'm just going to finish up my last 2 stitches here with a single crochet and an increase. And that brings me to 18 stitches for round 3. For round 4, as you can see with the tail here, I'm going to start in that next stitch. For round 4, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets, increase, all the way around. So I'll show you very quickly what that looks like for the first couple rounds. For the first couple repetitions. So that's single crochet, 2, and then increase in this next stitch. Single crochet, 2, increase in this next stitch. And all the way around. Now I've come to the very end of my round, and for that round 4, I should have 24 stitches as my stitch count. Next, I'm going to do round 5, which is still following this pattern of increases. So it's going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase. So that's 1 single crochet, 2, 3, and in this next stitch, increase by putting 2 stitches in 1. And I'm going to do that all the way around. That's 3, and then increase. Single crochet, 1, 2, 3, increase. And when you come to the end of this round, which I know I have due to the yarn tail here showing the start of the next round, you will have 30 stitches as your stitch count. For round 6, we're going to do one more row of increases. That's going to be 4 single crochets now, and then an increase. So there's 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, and in this next one I'm going to increase, putting 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Then repeat around, 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase. again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and increase, and all the way around. Now, after you finish that, what you're going to do is we're going to stop increasing. Our macaron is going to be large enough at this point. It's going to be now just single crochet around without any increases. So I removed my yarn tail here. I just pulled that out so I could change the location here. That just makes it easier for me to keep track. So I'm going to kind of hold it here, pin it down to the start of my round, and continue on. So round 7, just single crochet all the way around, 36 stitches. This part's nice and easy, no counting is needed, unless you want to count to make sure you do have 36 stitches. That is always a good idea. But if you've been increasing correctly this entire time, you shouldn't have any problem at all. So now I know I've come to the where I have my yarn tail. That's the very beginning of the next round. So I'm going to stop here. I have 36 stitches all the way around, and for this next part we're going to do something a little bit different. What we're going to do is slip stitch around in these front loops only. And the reason for that is because we will be needing the back loops a little later. So normally you crochet through both loops, but instead of doing that, we're only going to crochet through this very front loop. So if you can see, there's a little V shape for the stitch up here. I'm going to show you here. So this is the front loop. This is the back loop. And it's called the back loop because it's away from us. The front loop is closer to us. So this is the one that we'll be targeting. All right, so to begin this round, you're going to insert your hook into the front loop and pull through for a slip stitch. Nice and easy. Insert into front loop, slip stitch. Oops. So make sure you go through just the front loop and slip stitch around. Alright, so now that you've slip stitched all the way around, you'll notice that you've created this really cool texture of stitches that go around the border of your little project here. So now I'm going to snip off the end of this yarn tail. Alright, so for the first part of your macaron here, you're going to actually, let me just hide this yarn tail from the beginning. Okay. You're going to actually stop here at this round, but for part 2, the second half of the treat, you're going to do one more round of filling, and I'll show you how that's done. So let me just go ahead and hide this yarn tail inside by pulling it in. Okay. And I'm going to get the color I want for the filling, which is going to be white in this case. And I'm going to attach the yarn to the very start of my round. So I'm going to look for where the unworked back loops are. If you could see them coming off the edge here. So the front loops, remember we used it for the slip stitches. The back loops we're going to find and get right here. And I'm going to attach yarn with the filling color, which is white. So with this, we're going to actually join this round. You're going to start with a chain, and then you're going to single crochet around, single crochet in this first stitch too. And I'm just holding the yarn tails together here so I can hide them without sewing them in. So that's one single crochet, and I'm going to look for the next back loop right here and do my second single crochet like so. My next back loop, make my single crochet, and so on. So I'm going to go around making single crochets using that back loop that we skipped over in round 8. Remember, you don't want to do this for both the macarons unless you want a really puffy filling. For my pattern, it calls for just one side to be done. So the other one, the other half, I'm stopping after the slip stitch round, which is round 8. When you come to the very end of the round, what you're going to do is insert your hook into that first single crochet you made, and we're going to join the round with a slip stitch, like so. And then, since we're going to be sewing the two halves of the macaron together, we're going to leave a long tail for sewing. So I'm just going to pull out, I like it to be pretty long just in case. So I'll cut that there. Oops. And that gives me a fairly long and generous tail that I can use for sewing later. So now, as I puff it out, you can kind of shape your macaron piece a bit and make sure it looks nice. And as you can see, we've got this half with the round of slip stitches and the filling done. Alright, so here are both pieces now. Remember, you would be making one half which has the extra round of filling, and one half without that extra round of filling. Once you've made both of these halves, you'll be ready to put them together. And this part is a pretty quick and easy joining in terms of sewing it together. So what you'll do first is thread your yarn needle with that long yarn tail that you have from the filling half. And I'm just gonna go through that first stitch here. There. So now my yarn tail's on the inside. And what you're going to do is just sew both pieces together. There's no particular stitch or right way to do this. You can sew it however you like. My personal preference is to go through the third loop of the filling, which is behind the front, the the 2 loops. You could sew through both loops if you want to, but I am going to show you where the 3rd loop is. It's back here. So as you can see, it's behind the V shape for the front and back loops. And I'm going to go through that one and also go through the unworked back loop made from the top half right here. So I'll go through that, go through the 3rd loop, and go through the unworked back loop on the top half. And what you're going to do is keep going all the way around until you finish sewing the 2 halves together. Now as you go, remember that you will need to stuff your macaron, but I like to stuff it after I've gone halfway around with the sewing part, because it gets to be kind of difficult to sew with a chunk of stuffing on the inside. It's just makes it harder, so I like to just stuff it closer to the end. And as you see, each of these stitches will line up because the stitch count is the same for the ending rounds on both of these pieces. So as you sew around, you're just going to be going stitch straight into another stitch, and it should line up perfectly. So I'm gonna pause here for a moment. So as you can see, as I've been sewing this part together, when I sew from the back loops of the bottom half into the back, excuse me, when I sew into the 3rd loop from the bottom half into the back loops of the top half, you'll see that my V-shaped stitches, the single crochets I made for the filling, kind of pop out up front, and I like how that looks, so that's why I've stitched it that way. Now remember, you can stitch it a different way if you don't prefer the way this looks, but it's really personal preference and up to you. So after I get around halfway, as you can see, you can start stuffing your macaron like so. So you can go ahead and put stuffing in and just continue sewing, and when you get towards the end with that last bit of opening, you can finish stuffing your macaron and it'll be nice and puffed up. So as you can see, here is our lovely finished macaron. The 2 pieces have been sewn together, and this was really a quick and easy project that you can make in one sitting. So if you would like to actually add more embellishments to it, I do have a very similar pattern here. It's a unicorn macaron, and as you can see, the top and bottom pieces, the whole base, is actually the exact same as this one that was shown in the tutorial today. So all that's added are the ears, the horn, and the flowers, and also plastic safety eyes with a little bit of a finishing touch with the eyelashes and the blush. So if you'd like to make this one too, feel free to check out the video tutorial for that, and I will link it in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crocheting. Bye now.